You've heard from Sports Lab Overtime, this week in Gator Sports with Jeremy St. Louis, Sports Scene, and Jeff and Pat on Tailgate. Now it's time to bring it all together. This is This Week in Gator Sports, your extra coverage and insider look at everything in Gator Nation. From all of our WRUF beat reporters who have been working hard to bring you the best coverage in Gainesville. I'm Shamar Woods. Welcome to Overtime.
Okay, let's do this. Let's get this thing underway. Here come the Gators.
Kicking off this week in Gator Sports Overtime with our Gators football beat reporters, Nick Abreu, Tori Kitchens. They're back again here on TWIGS Overtime. Of course, we have to break down everything Gators football. Be sure to check out their coverage on WRUF.com. They have a lot of content from last week, of course, coming off the loss at Texas A&M against College Station. They also will have preview content leading up to this week's game, homecoming weekend, guys, against Mississippi State. But first, Coach Billy Napier still has a job, but as it looks like, guys, it might be coming to an end soon. There was a report that came out earlier yesterday on the job security surrounding Billy Napier. It says that Athletic Director Scott Strickland met with a handful of influential boosters on Tuesday and was told continuing financial support depends on a new direction within the football program. And it sounds like three people with direct knowledge of the situation told this to USA Today. Florida coach Napier could be fired as soon as this weekend, could be coming Sunday after the game against Mississippi State, win or lose. So, your reactions to that news report from USA Today, starting with you, Tori.
So, how I see it, I'm not super confident that it's win or lose. I think that a loss definitely is there's going to be a change. I'm just not super confident that if there's a win at homecoming, especially if it's a dominant win against Mississippi State, I'm not convinced that it's time for Billy Napier just yet. I think that Athletic Director Scott Strickland has been defending him for quite some time now, really ever since the beginning of his tenure. And I think that he's going to really do anything to try to convince the boosters yet again, just as he did last year, to keep him in just another game more, just a little bit longer. I think that there's a bye week, so it really would be ideal, obviously, to go ahead and do it this Sunday either way, but I'm just not completely convinced that it will happen with a win.
Tori's not convinced. Nick, what are your thoughts? Does it happen Sunday? Yes or no? Win or lose? What happens for Billy Napier moving forward?
I think our fellow beat reporter Hunter DeLauder said it best. You know, it's hard to believe until you see the snake's head. but he said that earlier, and I think that's a good way to put it because we all were prepared for this earlier in the season. But I think it does give me confidence that it's finally coming out that the boosters are doing something about it. It was hard to see Scott Strickland doing something himself, especially without a president at UF to kind of force him to make some decisions. So I think the boosters almost giving him a warning, like, do something about this team or funding is going to stop coming. I think that's really a wake-up call for him, and I think it will force him to do something. One thing I have heard, Kevin Winter said this on the Sports Lab yesterday. He says he's heard that still with that plan, that they're still not able to agree, that the boosters want someone that Strickland does not, and I think he didn't say a name, but I think we can all kind of work out who that name might be. So we'll see. Strickland's been one of those guys that you never know what he's going to do. He's been a Billy Napier supporter since last year when he was on the hot seat. But I think I do agree with Tori. I think if he loses, he's definitely gone. I think if he loses almost any game for the rest of the season, his leash might be up. But if he wins convincingly against Mississippi State, I could see Strickland keeping him on a little bit longer. But I think his time in general is up. At the end of the season, I don't think he lasts further than that.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to wait and see how it turns out for Billy Napier. And I think when you look at just how this team has rallied around Billy Napier, they haven't won. They've obviously are 2-4 as it currently stands. But just let's think about the fallout. If it were to happen Sunday, and you look at this team and how much talent is on this team, sort of what do you see happening with the DJ Lagways? You talk about Dallas Wilson, who was flipped. He was originally going to go to Oregon, but came to Florida at the last second, late in the recruiting process. When you look at all this talent, do you guys see a mass exodus happening with this roster, or do you think players stick around for next season?
Well, that's the interesting thing to look at because, in my opinion, after this week would be the perfect time to fire him. Because one of the reasons you didn't fire him earlier is because you're scared that transfer window opens and these guys like Lagway, who are big Napier guys, are going to leave immediately. You don't get them the rest of the season. But at this point, Lagway can't redshirt. He can't transfer mid-season. So I think if you fire him now, you have the rest of the season to convince those guys like Lagway and the rest of the team what your plan is, why they should stay at Florida. And I think having those 6-7 weeks where you can kind of convince them is important because if not, like you said, they're very on board with the Napier point of view. Those are kind of his guys. They're probably going to jump ship with it. So I think if you fire him now, you get a big name like a Kiffin. Like I don't think Cinetti would come because he's doing great at Indiana right now, and he's kind of made it clear that he wants nothing to do with the Penn State job. But if you can get someone like that and convince this team that they can compete next year with this same roster, maybe you can keep some of that talent that would have left otherwise.
Yeah, you mentioned that Penn State job. Let's throw the ball over to Tori. Of course, Penn State fired James Franklin over the weekend after a third straight loss. The Nittany Lions were 104-45 and 11-plus seasons under Franklin. Could Franklin potentially be a replacement for Napier if the firing does go down Sunday?
I think he's definitely in the running for it. Do I think Gator Nation's going to be happy with it? Absolutely not. He did not have a good season this year. That's why he got fired. And I think that if they're going straight after a coach that just got fired after we just had a 2-4 start, possibly 2-5 after this weekend, I think that that's just going to be even more reason for Gator Nation to go after Scott Strickland and just be super angry about the situation. I personally wouldn't hate James Franklin being in Gainesville. I think that he would be a great addition, and I would really like to see his coaching style in the SEC. I just am not sure that Gator Nation will be on the side of that. So
yeah, let's turn it back to Napier. Right, he's 21-23, fourth season, has the worst coaching record at Florida since the 1940s, and I think when you look at his decision making, and not only with play calling, but also his decision when it comes to not having an offensive coordinator, period. I mean, how much sympathy do you have for him in terms of how things have turned out here in Gator Nation?
Not a ton of sympathy. I think that, like Nick said, it's kind of a lot of excuses when it comes to it, and he often says no excuses, but then they kind of come out that way in his press conferences, post-game, whatever it may be. I think that he does tend to repeat himself a lot, that they're just not executing, but you also do have a job to do to help them not get injured, help them convert a first down, and that's just not happening. And I think that he needs to take a bit more ownership for that instead of having his players do it for him.
Nick, let's put on our athletic director hat here. You're Scott Strickland. You have a decision to make here this season, all right? You're 2-4, but of course you look at Florida and they're favored heading into Mississippi State, of course, the homecoming game. Let's say Florida loses, or it's a close game, they win a close game, or they blow out Mississippi State this weekend. Mm-hmm. Sunday morning, you wake up. What decision are you making as the athletic director here at Florida?
I think 2 out of 3 of those scenarios, I'm immediately firing Billy Napier before the bye week. I think that bye week gives you time to kind of set everyone's heads right. I think if you lose, he's 100% gone. If you win a close one, maybe you think about it a little bit, but I think ultimately he's gone. I think it's when you get to that blowout that you might start to see Scott Strickland struggle a little bit to make the decision. Because I think a lot of it goes to last season. He put that faith in Napier, who I don't think is a terrible coach. I think he has some aspects of the college coaching sphere down, especially with recruiting. You can see these guys love him. They play for him. which is something you need in a coach. But when you don't get results, does that recruiting really matter? But I think that's one of the things Scott Strickland loves about him. So it'll be interesting to see if the Gators do blow out Mississippi State at home, if he makes a decision. I think I personally would just cut ties and just restart. I think it's a good chance to restart the program to a certain extent.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, of course, Gators open as 9.5-point favorites heading into Mississippi State. You have to believe, especially with these reports leaking out, that the Gators are going to play hard Saturday. And, you know, if it is Napier's last game, send them out the right way. But we'll have to wait and see. And so I want to get your predictions from both you, Tori, Nick. Who you guys picking, Gators or the Bulldogs? Starting with you, Nick.
All right, I'll start. I think I'm definitely going with the Gators. I think Mississippi State, they've had a solid season. They're actually leading the SEC in interceptions, which is something that is a little bit scary with the way Lagway's played recently. And they had a close game against Tennessee, who's looked really good. They went to overtime against them and eventually lost. But I just don't see Mississippi State coming into the swamp and beating the Gators. I think the Gators win. I think they do cover the spread, maybe a 10-point win. Maybe I see like a 23-13 win for the Gators, something like that. I could see Mississippi State maybe causing more problems if this was an away game, but I don't see the Gators losing this game to Mississippi State at home.
All right, we're going to go 2 predictions this week, all right? Is
Okay.
Napier the head coach of the Gators Monday,
Oh.
yes or no?
Oh, goodness.
Oh, I got to make a decision on that. Okay. I'm going to say no. I think the bye week gives you the perfect opportunity, and I think we're getting this story from USA Today saying the boosters are putting their money in the hat right now because that bye week is coming out. I think that Strickland probably gave that timeline after the Miami game. He was like, all right, by the next bye week, if something hasn't improved like it did last year, he's probably gone, and I think he ultimately is going to end up leaving.
All right, Tori, let's start against Mississippi State. Who wins, Gators or Bulldogs?
I have been very back and forth on this, to be honest. My brain was kind of empty walking in here today. I'm going to be very angry if Nick is right again, like he was against Texas. But
Are you going against the Gators again?
I am. I
Wow.
always have to just protect myself when it comes to picking. I'm born and raised Gainesville, Florida. You're cautious.
course,
So
of course.
I think that it's going to be Mississippi State
Wow.
somehow. I think that this is going to be a game of defense.
Okay.
Like Nick said, Mississippi State leading in interceptions, and I think that's going to be a really big deal against DJ Lagway. And then you look at the quarterback for Mississippi State, and he's only got, I think, 22 rush yards. And you can check out my scouting report on Mississippi State that I put out today on WRUF, and he's just not really good with his legs, and I think that that's going to be enough for Florida's defense to stop him. So I'm going to go 21-17. Mississippi
All right.
State.
Wow. Tori picking against the
I'm
Gators.
sorry.
Now for number 2, your prediction. Is Napier the head coach on Monday morning? Yes or no?
No, I don't think so. Well, obviously, me picking Mississippi State to win, I'm going
Right.
to say no.
Yeah.
Just because the USA Today article also said he doesn't survive another loss, and I think that that's 100% accurate. I don't think he should have a job on Monday. Regardless of the outcome, this is the best time to do it in a bye week, especially ahead of Florida, Georgia in a couple weeks. So, yeah, I think we're at the end now.
Well, we're in agreement there between Nick and Tori, and we are wrapping up and want to thank you all for coming on Twigs Overtime, and be sure to check out Nick and Tori's coverage all week, as well as Hunter DeLauder, who you heard from earlier on This Week in Gator Sports with Professor Jeremy St. Louis. We'll have coverage for you, of course, against Mississippi State on Saturday. And then, hey, if Napier is no longer the coach, Monday, our hardest working Gators football beat team will be on the job on Sunday, bringing you all the coverage from all the angles, potential replacements as well, and what the Gators do moving forward. So thank you both for coming on to Twigs
course.
Overtime.
Thank you.
Tori and Nick, and we'll hear from you again.
I'm Abigail Justice, and I'm here with Gabby,
Emily,
Jet.
Kennedy Suarez.
and we're playing Two Truths and a Lie, Gator Sports Edition. Number 1, Gators softball has won back-to-back national championships under Coach Tim Walton. The Gators' first softball field was shared with the baseball team. Former pitcher Kelly Barnhill holds the record for strikeouts in the program.
Is the lie the first one?
The second one? I agree. I feel like it's giving lie.
Number 3 is a lie.
Number 2 is a lie. We never shared a field.
Back here on This Week in Gator Sports Overtime, we're now joined by our WRUF soccer beat reporters, Macy Meese, as well as David Lopez. We've been working hard on the soccer beat all season long. We're almost at postseason time, so be sure to check out all their work on WRUF.com. But first, let's get into it, both of you. Obviously, Sunday, a big-time win, a 2-1 win over Mississippi State. Macy, you covered the game for WRUF.com. What did you notice and take away from Sunday's win?
I will say, so Friday's win, it was nuts. And it was, I will say, lots of aggression. I think that aggression has kind of been building up for the Gators over the season. They're kind of finding their comfort, making that connection, not just with the ball, but also with each other. Saw a lot of really good passes, a lot of really good plays. And you can see that aggression. The ending score was 2-1, but almost 3-1, close to the end of the game. Another shot was made, just hit the goalpost, could have had a 3-1 lead, but again, Bohan talked about in her post-game interview how she wished that they had more of like a strong lead like that, but it was good to see that aggression, something I think they're really going to need, especially still fighting for that post.
Yeah, David, so talking about that postseason fight, right, where they currently stand, tell us where the Gators stand currently as they look to make that postseason push.
So the Gators are 6-5-3 right now, 2-2-3 in the SEC. Those 9 points in the SEC give them the number 10 spot out of the 12 who make it to the SEC tournament. They're pretty close to making it to Pensacola. They're right on the cusp, but they got a big matchup. They got a big matchup on Thursday. It's going to be a very tough test, and the thing is with the SEC is one single loss and then a couple parts moving around the conference could mean problems for the Gators. You know, it's a very tight conference, but I think their performances the last couple of weeks have really shifted them into the conversation as one of the most improved teams in this conference.
Dave, we'll keep the ball right there with you. We talk about some of the performances, though, and going back to Sunday's game against Mississippi State, there was a red card. Charlotte McClure received the red card. How does that affect Thursday's game?
So I'm glad you mentioned that because that's probably one of the bigger pieces of that game. It's going to be a defensive battle because Tennessee is one of the better attacking teams in the conference, in the SEC, in the country. They're number 4 in the country right now. And after Arkansas lost on Friday, Tennessee moved into the number 1 spot in the SEC. So this is going to be a test. They're in Knoxville, but the Gators were hoping to have one of their stronger defensive midfielders, Charlotte McClure, who got a red card. We'll say deserved, though. She did pull the girl's hair down and just basically attacked a Mississippi State player.
Wow.
But
Wow.
She mentioned after the game how, they were gnawing back and forth at each other, and that was her assignment, so it made sense. But, they're going to need to really batter down on defense in this matchup to get a result, and they're going to need their replacement midfielder to have a great performance.
Absolutely. Macy?
Yeah, and I mean, like you said, they were going back and forth at it against each other. What I thought was kind of interesting was the ref held the red card above Charlotte McClure, but he also held it above Mississippi State's Allie Perry. It was hard elimination, which I found really interesting. Really interesting to hearing some of the commentary because not many people have seen the last time that's been done in one of these matches, which I thought was a really unique call to be made. But as you said, definitely
it's very
made
rare.
sense.
It's definitely very rare.
Definitely very rare. But it did make sense, yeah, for sure. And like you said, yeah, kind of filling the void of Charlotte McClure being out now for Tennessee will definitely be interesting. But, lots of attackers, lots of players to look out for. Addie Hess, especially now a 2-time SEC Freshman of the Week. She scored the second goal of the game. I will say it's nice to see players who can use both of their feet. In her goal, she shot the first time with her right foot. then was able to get repossession of the rebound within seconds, then shoots with her left foot, and then that time made the goal. So really nice to see players that can use both their feet, especially in competition as tight and as aggressive as this. Like, that's really important for sure.
Yeah, let's stay with the ball with you, Macy. And you look at this Tennessee game, and obviously coming off the win last Friday, can the Gators keep momentum going against Tennessee? Again, tough matchup, but as they march toward the post, will they be able to sustain this win streak and make it 2?
I think it's doable. I honestly do. I think it's a lot of work the team's going to have to put in. Of course, like David said, it's a lot of growth that they've gone through this past season. And I think keeping the momentum is definitely doable. They have to keep that aggression more than anything. Like David said, Tennessee is a very strong attacking team. So being able to defend that and then if anything out-attack them is going to be really important going into Thursdays, especially in away territory. It's hard playing not on your home pitch, and I think it's really important that, they keep up the aggression, stay strong, keep connection with the ball, keep connection with each other, and then at the end of the day, I think it'll all pay off.
All right, let's turn the ball over to David. David, postseason picture, 3 games left. Gators currently, again, they are in the playoff picture as it currently stands. What are some scenarios that we need to look out for over these next 3 games?
So the hope is you come out of Tennessee with a draw because you're not going to be going out there and attacking them for the win. You come out of that game with a draw and 10 points. You're in very much pole position for those last 3 SEC playoff spots. But you come with a win in any of these last 3 games, that spot is secured. Texas A&M is the only team on the hunt who have 4 points. If the Gators win any single one of their games, they have clinched a postseason spot, which would be the first time under head coach Samantha Bohan. So you look for at least a point in a game in their away games against Tennessee and LSU over the next couple weeks, or just win against Ole Miss. In either scenario, the Gators book a trip to Pensacola for the first time since 2021, which would be awesome to see. The Gators have made a massive turnaround this season. Imagine opening your year losing 5-0 to FSU and then coming around and making the SEC tournament and being on a surge like this. But the Gators look like they're in that spot. They look they'll secure a postseason spot, and the way they've played, they've really earned it.
Is there a scenario where the Gators potentially miss the postseason?
They'd have to lose out. If they lose out and Texas A&M wins their 3 games remaining, the Gators would miss that spot. But Texas A&M's only won 1 SEC game through 7, so unless they go through a crazy surge like the Gators, it would take a lot. It would take a lot. The Gators have really done a lot for themselves. I mean, 5-match unbeaten streak in the SEC is very hard to pull off, and especially with starting 4 different freshmen in your lineup, it's almost unheard of in this conference. So the Gators have really pulled off an impressive feat this season.
All right, we'll have to wait and see what happens tonight. Gators play Tennessee. Be sure to check out the coverage. Macy and David will have the coverage for you guys post-game. Thank you both for joining TWIGS Overtime, and be sure to check out all their coverage on WRUF.com. David, Macy, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Abigail Justice, and I'm here with
Jonathan Pitchford.
Zach.
and we're playing 2 Truths and a Lie. Gators basketball has produced multiple first-round NBA draft picks. Former coach Billy Donovan coached the Gators to 2 national titles before heading to the NBA. Walter Clayton Jr. is the UF's all-time leading scorer.
I'll say the third one's a lie.
Second one?
The third one? Maybe the third one, yeah.
It is the third one.
All right, back here on TWIGS Overtime, and now we're joined by our WRUF volleyball beat reporters, Charlie Jones and Jelianis Ramos, who are now joining us on TWIGS Overtime. Now, guys, we have to talk about volleyball and where they currently stand. Of course, for the first time since 1991, they are ranked outside the top 25. Where does this team stand? Let's do a season in review, starting with you, Charlie.
Well, look, things haven't always been easy for Ryan Tice in his first year as the head of the program. but things are starting to turn around and smooth out. After a solid start to play, a couple of nice non-conference wins, the Gators fell down a slippery slope. A couple of key SEC losses. Loss to number 25 North Carolina was a big turning point in the season, as well as a weekend sweep at number 7 Wisconsin and Marquette. And from there, everything started to just kind of slowly trend down. But now, the Gators are all the way back, and that is why I am dressed to the nines. I got my suit and tie on today.
I was going to say, let's talk about this outfit a little bit. Let's get into it. Where did you get this outfit?
I only put on my best for TWIGS OT. So
Charlie Jones suit.
Yeah,
Charlie
exactly.
Jones.
I went to the tailor and made sure that I could get this all ready for today, pressed and tailored perfectly.
We might have to put that in the dry cleaners for next week.
Yeah, I think so. I think so. And hey, if they keep on winning, they deserve it because they are on a 3-match win streak against number 25 Missouri, Vanderbilt, first year of their program, and number 16 Tennessee on the road. Gators are trending up by the stock now.
Absolutely. Let's pass the ball over to Jellianis now. Let's talk about that Tennessee win.
Let's do it.
Won Wednesday, big-time win. Of course, as Charlie mentioned, the 3-game win streak. How did they do it last night?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing was really just about momentum, right? You're in a 2-game winning streak, and you're trying to, keep that going, keep that moving. And so I think the biggest thing for them was really how do you come out? Are you coming out are you coming out strong? Are you coming out with that energy, all right? They lose that first set, but that second set is huge. I remember the last time they won a second set in a game. And so getting that second set, you win the third, you lose the fourth, but it's Jordan Bird. I mean, Jordan Bird has been that key player for them, driving them with 23 kills in last night's match. And so I think really it was just about fixing those minor errors and really just finding ways to win it, right? They knew it was going to be tough going into there. I mean, Tennessee is ranked for a reason. They've been a top team in the SEC for the last couple of years, and so I think it was huge getting that win last night in 5 sets.
All right, let's go back to season in review. We got thrown off by Charlie's suit over there. But sticking with the rundown, let's talk about the season in review. Player for the first half. Who has been the best player? You mentioned Bird. Is she your number one player for the first half?
I'll definitely. I'm sticking with Bird. Jordan Bird, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, this is her first year kind of really, taking the court. And she's done it here at UF very well, right? She's been that go-to player in that outside for that offense. And her and Stuckey have a great connection. I mean, we've seen it throughout this season. She's had multiple 20-plus kills games. And I think if she continues to do that and develop her leadership on and off the court, she is that player of the first half for me.
All right, Charlie, who's your player of the first half of the season?
Well, just as Jelly and I work together great as a team, no one sets up the offensive firecracker in Jordan Bird better than Alexis Stuckey, and she is my player of the first half of the season. 600 assists, 46 kills, 10 service aces. That is an incredible start to the season for the redshirt junior, and especially coming off that devastating torn ACL injury 2 years ago. She only saw a couple of matches last year. So this was her first full season after such a devastating injury. She has not missed a step. She is in great form, and she's really been facilitating this Gators offense well, choosing her moments to go to the opposite side for Milica Vidacic, and choosing her moments to go to Jordan Bird, her number one offensive talent. She has been incredible in the middle.
Now, you look at the second half of the season. We'll keep the ball right there with you, Charlie. Who is the player to watch in the second half?
Well, everyone likes to talk about the main offensive firepower in Jordan Bird and Nia Madkin, sometimes a little bit Alec Roth. But there's someone who I think is a very underrated player on this team and is starting to see increased play, and that's Milica Vidacic. She has been outstanding. The freshman from Serbia was a very, very late addition to this team. She only came to the USA with about 2 weeks before the start of the season. Not a ton of time to practice with the team, but so far, she has just jumped in perfectly. It looks like she's been here for a couple years with the way she plays on the court, and the amount of time that she's gotten at that opposite hitter position, being set up on that right side by Alexis Stuckey and getting increased opportunities, she has used them well. 15 kills the other day in the match against Missouri, and she was a crucial turning point. So Coach Ryan Tice is really employing her later on in matches to try and create a spark, and it's been working well.
All right, Jellianis, give us your player to watch in the second half.
Yeah, my player to watch for this.
We dropped the ball.
Well, hopefully that doesn't happen on the court. But, hey, no, for my player to watch on the second half is Alec Roth, right? Alec Roth is a huge, she brings that poise on that court, and is really important, I think, to bring that second level to our offense, right? Well, obviously, we have the offensive power in
Vidicic and also Bird, but I think it's huge to have those middles. And I think Alec Roth is that middle together with Jayla August. And so I think Alec Roth, if she continues to bring that poise on the court, which she always does, and also she's been huge in that blocking. That's been one of her biggest things. How can I minimize my hitting errors and also just getting better on her blocking? I think it's going to be huge for the Gators to watch.
All right, wrapping up here on Twigs OT, we're joined by our WRUF beat reporters, Giannis and Charlie. Now, guys, what's ahead for Florida now? You said they're getting back on track, 3-game winning streak, big win over Tennessee. What's next for the Gators? Giannis.
Yeah, what's next for the Gators is that huge game against Kentucky this week. I mean, they're number 3, if I'm not mistaken, and it's going to be very critical, I think, for the season, right? We're that start of that second half, and they're looking for that momentum. I think if we can go into Lexington, we're obviously the underdogs, and I think that takes a lot of pressure in this young Gator volleyball team. I think it's huge for them to go in there and just trust in what they've been working. They know they have the pieces to be able to get it done. They were able to get it done in Tennessee. If they get it done in Kentucky, I think the league should be scared of this Gator volleyball team.
Charlie, what should we watch for?
Well, Giannis couldn't say it any better, but something that I'd like to add is that I think that Ryan Tice's young squad is starting to like this underdog mentality. You know, there were a lot of expectations going into the season, right? Despite him being a first-year head coach of the Gators, he has a ton of coaching experience, and the transfer of Jordan Bird was massive to fill the role of Kenny Martin. So I think that the expectations just might have been a little bit too much, right? It's a whole lot of pressure on a young team who has not had a lot of time to play at the collegiate level. So I really think that after that LSU loss, you could see a new fire in this team when they came out against Missouri at home, and it has really propelled them. Now it all comes to a stop because Kentucky, now this is the biggest match of the year. There's Texas and Texas A&M down the road, and those are 2 strong teams as well. But with the amount of momentum that this team has, you can't let it just stop. A win over Kentucky would be monumental, especially because it's the first of 4 of 5 road matches in the next 5. A really, really tough road stretch, and you know in the SEC, it just means more. So they could get caught at any certain moment. You never know what's going to happen. So if they were to be the one who could pull an upset off, rather than get upset, it could be a massive, massive thing to give the Gators even more momentum the rest of the season, find them back in rhythm, and give them a late push to be a top team heading into the NCAA tournament.
Well, we know who always has momentum and always has rhythm. That's, of course, Charlie and Giannis, our WRUF beat reporters here joining us on Twigs Overtime. I want to thank you both for joining us. Be sure to check out all their coverage on WRUF.com. Of course, they'll be covering the team inside and out. Charlie, Giannis, thank you.
Thank you so much for having us.
I'm Abigail Justice, and I'm here with
Brandon. Randolph.
Celeste. And we're playing Two Truths and a Lie. Gators have won 4 national championships in gymnastics. Gator gymnast Leanne Wong is also an alternate for Team USA in the Olympics. Former Gator Trinity Thomas is tied for the record for perfect 10s in the NCAA.
I'm going the last one again. Say the first one.
I think the first one is a lie.
First one.
Yeah,
we only have 3 national titles.
Now we are joined by our excellent AP Top 25 beat team, of course, Morgan Vasquez, as well as Jake Hoffman. They are joining us now on Twigs Overtime, and both of you, a lot to talk about here this week. A lot of movement, of course. We'll start with the Gators losing last week at the time to number 5 Texas A&M, but after the win, they moved up a spot. Is that right, Jake?
Texas A&M moved up to number 4, their highest regular season ranking since 1995, picking up a massive 34-17 win against the Gators, where they came out firing right away, scoring in just 2 plays on their first drive of the game. Congrats to the Aggies. They're in their highest ranking since 1995, so 30 years in the making. So they've earned it.
Absolutely. Talk about Oklahoma. They dropped 6 spots from a disappointing 23-6 loss against Texas. Obviously, you look at that Red River rivalry. What's your takeaway from their drop in the poll?
Last week, I was all over Texas. Arch Manning, he had to bounce back. Texas came to the game as 1.5-point favorites, backs against the wall. They had 2 losses already on the season. A big win for them against the Sooners. And now the Longhorns are back in the rankings at number 21, while Oklahoma dropped all the way to number 14.
Yeah, how about that? Texas back in the AP poll at number 21 overall. Let's talk about Bama now, moving up 2 spots after that opening season loss against Florida State. Of course, now they're in the top 10, inching closer to the top 5.
Yeah, in Alabama, they lost their first game of the season against FSU, and ever since, they've just been on fire. They beat a bunch of ranked teams. They beat Georgia. They beat Missouri. Missouri had won 15 straight games at home coming into this one, but Ty Simpson and the offense came in, did what they needed to do. The defense made a big interception on the last drive of the game to seal it. And Alabama, in my opinion, looks like the best team in college football right now. So I'm big on the Crimson Tide.
I love it. I love it. All right, let's get your take, Morgan, on the AP Top 25 poll. Of course, you look at Indiana, they're trending up. Right now, they have their highest rank in history.
Yeah, I was surprised to see them jump all the way up to number 3 after they beat the Ducks. I didn't think the Ducks were going to fall after they had that season-defining win over Penn State. But, you know, happy for Indiana. We'll see how they continue to perform the rest of the season. They're definitely in the playoff conversation.
Yeah, and you look at Georgia, right? And Georgia has a big-time game against Ole Miss. What do you think about that game in terms of rankings for this weekend?
In terms of rankings, it'll really shift the SEC standings because there are 3 undefeated teams in the SEC. That's Ole Miss, Alabama, and Texas A&M, whereas Georgia has that 1 loss, obviously, to Alabama. So they are either going to jump up if they beat Ole Miss, number 5, or they're going to keep falling.
Yeah, we'll see how that plays out this weekend. Of course, a big game against Georgia and Ole Miss. No clear front runner for the SEC championship crown as it stands right now. Just your thoughts on how that might play out for the rest of the season.
I mean, I think this is going to be a season-defining game for both teams, Ole Miss and Georgia. I think Georgia plays a very old guard style of football, but, you know, it's worked for them. It's effective for them. Gunnar Stockton is doing very well, but he tends to hesitate on throwing deep balls, whereas Ole Miss with their new quarterback is really playing a fun backyard style of football. Lane Kiffin said that their quarterback reminds them of Cam Ward, and so it'll be two very different styles of play, and I'm looking forward to seeing it.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, 3 undefeated SEC teams: Ole Miss, Texas A&M, and Bama. Guys, let's switch over to Week 8 predictions. We'll start off with you, Jake. We'll throw the ball over to you. Mississippi State at Florida. Of course, it's homecoming weekend here in Gainesville. Mississippi State has 10 more touchdowns on the season than Florida. Is this the week that Florida finally gets its offense going?
I mean, I think Florida's offense could only go up from here after last week. When you looked at the Gators' first 3 drives, it went touchdown, punt, touchdown. And the fans are kind of getting the feeling DJ Lagway and Billy Napier are back. But then it was kind of roles reversed. The offense came out firing while the defense, which has been strong all season, was struggling. Florida's just struggled to find that consistency overall. But this week is homecoming. The Gators are back in the swamp. The energy is high. I think the Gators are going to come out firing. I think they're going to win, and I think they're going to cover the 9.5 points against Mississippi State.
All right, we'll see. Morgan, your pick for Mississippi State and Florida.
I mean, I have to take the Gators. We're back in the swamp. There's a lot to be said for that energy. And when we look at, you know, how both teams have performed this past season, obviously both Florida and Mississippi State lost to Texas A&M, but if we look at the margins, Florida did much better, where Mississippi State only scored 9 points. So I'm feeling good about us. I'm going to go with the Gators.
All right. Next game. We'll keep the ball right there with you, Morgan. Number 11, Tennessee at number 6, Alabama. That's a big top 25 matchup. Alabama, 7.5-point favorites. Who you picking?
I have to go Alabama. You know, they're at Alabama. Jake said that, you know, he thinks that they're the best team in college football right now, which might be a little bit of a stretch, but they are undefeated in SEC play, so I have to go Alabama.
All right, Jake, who you got?
I mean, of course, like Morgan just said, I'm big on Bama. I think Alabama's going to come in and blow out Tennessee. Alabama's had one of the hardest schedules so far, playing teams like Georgia and Missouri. Tennessee, they had their shootout game against Georgia where they lost 44-41. But outside of that, Tennessee's yet to play any ranked opponents, Alabama so far has had one of the hardest schedules in college football, and they've been able to come out on top in those games. So I think Alabama's going to win at home, and I think they're going to cover the 7.5 points.
All right, we'll definitely see. Of course, Alabama playing without Jam Miller, so we'll see how that affects the game. Moving right along, number 5, Ole Miss at number 9, Georgia. Again, talked about this earlier, big-time matchup. Who you got, Jake?
Big-time matchup. This might be the most significant matchup of the week. Pat McAfee and his squad will be headed to Georgia for College game day, so that should be very exciting.
Mm-hmm.
Ole Miss just last week against Washington State, barely coming out on top. It was definitely a little bit of a scare, but they were able to come out with the win. Lane Kiffin and his guys got it done. But Gunnar Stockton and Kirby Smart, they were down 10-0 against Auburn, scored 20 unanswered points, won the game 20-10. Even going back to last season when Gunnar Stockton subbed in for Carson Beck with the injury and they beat Texas in the playoffs, Gunner's got grit. I love what Gunner's got to offer, so I'm going to take Georgia at home.
All right, Jake's going with Gunner. Morgan, who you going with?
I mean, Jake's got a good point. Gunnar Stockton, he is resilient. He takes big hits, and he gets right back up. But I have to go with Ole Miss. They are ranked number 5, but somehow they feel like underdogs in this game. I honestly thought that Georgia looked a little bit shaky last week, even though they came out on top over Auburn. And Ole Miss, you know, like you said, struggled last week as well. But I really like Trinidad Trembless, and I'm going to go with Ole Miss.
All right. Last one. Sticking with you, Morgan. Number 10, LSU at number 17, Vanderbilt. LSU, 2.5-point favorites. Who you picking there?
I'm going to have to go with Vanderbilt. I think it's a bit of an unpopular pick. But like you said, LSU is just 2.5-point favorites. I think Garrett Nussmeier has looked very inconsistent over the course of this season. He's kind of fallen out of that Heisman race because of his inconsistency. And the Tigers recently played the Gamecocks, where they only came out on top 20-10. So I think Vanderbilt might take this one.
All right, Jake, take us home.
We're at a crossroads once again, Morgan. I'm going to have to take Garrett Nussmeier and LSU. Of course, coming into the season, he was one of the favorites for the Heisman. I can't deny the fact that he struggled. But this LSU defense is yet to let up more than 20 points in a game. I know their offense has been inconsistent, but Vanderbilt just had a game where they allowed 30 points against Alabama. So I think if that LSU offense just has a decent game, I don't even think they need to play 100%. I think the defense will be able to do enough to get them the win.
All right. Taking the ball back from Jake, that will do it for our WRUF Top 25 beat reporters. Of course, Morgan Vasquez, Jake Hoffman. They break it down each week here on Twigs Overtime. Be sure to check out all their coverage. Of course, they'll have the recap of the AP poll as well as a preview and recaps of the biggest games of the weekend. Jake, Morgan, thank you for coming on to Twigs Overtime.
Thank you.
UF Baseball has appeared in the College World Series 14 times. Baseball has won over 10 SEC championships. Florida Baseball has never produced a first-round MLB draft pick.
Number 2 is a lie. Yeah, I'm going to go last one. The third one has to be a lie, right?
Is it the last one? 3?
3, I think.
It is the third one. 4 for 4. How we feeling? Go Gators.
Amen.
Doing good. I mean, all right, missed a couple, but it's fine. I'm going to study next time, I guess. Not great. Not great at all.
Really good. I didn't know I know that much.
Back here on Twigs Overtime, and right now we're joined by our NFL beat reporters, Riley Orovitz, as well as Dalton Salines. NFL beat reporters, be sure to check out all their work on WRUF.com. Of course, they're bringing you coverage inside and out each and every week, predictions, not only for the games itself, but also for your fantasy leagues as well. And we're going to get into it a little bit here on Twigs OT. Start with Dalton. Dalton had his latest power rankings come out on Tuesday. And Dalton, there's a new king at the top.
Indeed, there is. For the third straight week, we have a new number one team. This week, it's the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Who would have thought? Everybody's injured. Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Bucky Irving, now Emeka Ibuka, but you can't stop Baker Mayfield. The quarterback is making gutsy throws, running all over the field, getting MVP chance. The Buccaneers have it all rolling right now, and they must be the kings of the NFL because nobody can beat them.
Do you think they can sustain this pace right now with all the injuries that you just mentioned? Can they stay atop your power rankings for next week?
I would bet that they aren't. I would take a fourth different team in 4 weeks just because of the matchup. Next week they get Detroit. Detroit's a very strong team. They've been atop the power rankings as well. I would say just because of how banged up they are, they're going to fall. But I would place the Bucs as my favorite in the NFC right now to represent in the Super Bowl.
Now, Riley, speaking of falling, the Dolphins, they dropped in this week's power rankings. Tell us a little bit more about your Dolphins. Can they get it together?
I don't know. I mean, obviously it was a heartbreaking loss, losing in the last 46 seconds. But I think a lot went into it. I think, they score with Darren Waller in the back of the end zone with less than a minute to go. But it comes down to how they managed the clock before that. They threw to Malik Washington on second down to stop the clock, let the Chargers save that remaining timeout. A lot went into it. If they don't throw that pass, we might have a different conversation right now. But Mike McDaniel, I'm a little surprised he was not let go on Monday. But I think we'll see what happens this week heading into Cleveland. If they win, we might have a redo of the cycle and see if he stays in Miami.
Yeah, just how hot is that seat that McDaniel's sitting on right now?
I think it's burning right now. I don't know. It's burning to me. I don't know if it's burning to Stephen Ross because he has made it clear that he likes him. But, yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, what do you see the future is for McDaniel? I mean, does he stick around for another week? Does he make it through the end of the season? Is he around for next season? Where does this end for McDaniel and what's happening in Miami?
I don't see him returning to the Dolphins next season, but if that is true, I think he'll go to a new team and become a pretty good offensive coordinator. We know he's an offensive mind guru, basically. He's just not too good of a play caller and clock management, but yeah, I think wherever he goes, he'll succeed as an offensive coordinator.
All right, guys, we're going to switch it over to fantasy before we get into your predictions for this week's games. Let's start it off with you, Dalton, or actually Riley. Let's start it with you. In terms of who starred last week in the fantasy play.
Well, Dolphins running back Devon Achane, I mean, he's just a star. I know the Dolphins have been struggling lately, mainly on defense, but you can always count on Achane. He had 31 points last week. He had 2 touchdowns, 128 rushing yards, 4 receptions, and 22 receiving yards. He's already at almost 200 receiving yards this year and 3 touchdowns. I think he is the star of that backfield, and I think he's one of the best running backs in the league.
All right, switching over to you, Dalton. Who's a sleeper pick for this week?
How about a guy who you were confidently starting for 4 weeks and then saw let you down the last 2 weeks, Travis Etienne Jr. He played horribly last week and the week before. I expect a huge bounce back. He's still leading the team in touches. He's getting the football. The touchdowns are going to come back. If you have him, put him in your lineup. If you don't, now's the time to go trade for him. Make an offer in your league to go get Travis Etienne Jr. on your fantasy team.
All right, you heard it from our fantasy experts. Now switching back over to this weekend's slate. Of course, we have 3 games. Starting off Sunday, 2 games slated. Los Angeles at Jacksonville. Dalton, starting with you. What's your prediction? Well, wait. First, before we get into predictions.
I was going to say.
Before we get into the predictions, Dalton claimed here on TWIGS Overtime last week that he was going to catch up to Riley in their head-to-head battle on weekly picks. And Dalton, where do things stand right now?
So I promised you all last week it would be 1 week at a time I would make it up. And after going 3-0 last week, I'm now just 2 games back. So that's going to continue this week. I expect another win this week. And I can absolutely start us off with that Rams-Jaguars game in London. I expect a low-scoring affair. Give me the Rams. 15-12. Extremely low scoring in London. I like the Rams to pull off the victory. Also on that Sunday, we have the Dolphins and the Browns. The Browns' defense has been strong. The Dolphins' offenses look stronger. I have no trust in the rookie quarterbacks in Cleveland, whichever one of them is playing. Give me the Dolphins 28-17.
All right. Riley, first of all, before you give your predictions, how are you feeling right now? Are you feeling the heat from Dalton? He's catching up right now in the head-to-head standings. How are you feeling?
I'm still feeling pretty good. I'm still 2 games up. I had a hot start to the year. I think this week will be pivotal to see how the remaining of the season goes.
All right. Give us your picks.
To start off, I'm actually going to take the complete opposite approach as Dalton for the London games. I think that the Jags are going to come out. They are London's team. 28-21. And then for the Dolphins, similarly, I just don't trust anything with this game. It might be a slugfest, but I have the Dolphins 21, Browns 18.
All right, guys, switching over to the Monday night game, another Monday night doubleheader. NFL really loving those Monday night doubleheaders. But this week we have another Florida team that's featured, Tampa Bay at Detroit. This should be a big-time matchup, of course. 7 p.m. kickoff. Riley, let's start with you. Your prediction.
I think it'll be a high-scoring affair. I mean, it's in Detroit. Those games usually are. It's a good atmosphere. But like Dalton said, Bucs are pretty banged up right now in so many different offensive positions. So I have the Lions 31. Bucs keep it close Lions 34. Bucs keep it close at 31.
All right. Dalton.
Yeah, similarly, I have a high-scoring affair, and I do think that Detroit bounces back from their loss last week. I think they go up 31-28, and as much as the NFL likes these doubleheaders on Monday night, I do not at all enjoy them. Hopefully we see in the future they cut down on those a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to get to bed a little bit earlier for sure. Guys, give us your one X factor. What are you looking for this weekend in the NFL? Dalton?
Yeah, I want to look at the defenses. So Jacksonville's defense to start had forced a turnover in every game up until this past week. I expect this week all 3 Florida teams to force no turnovers. Dylan Gabriel in Cleveland has done a great job taking care of the football. Not a great player, but he's not going to turn the ball over. I don't think Miami forces one. I think that Seattle showed the blueprint on how to take on this Jacksonville defense, and the Rams copy that in London. And then Detroit is a high-powered offense coming off a down game. I expect them to get whatever they want against the Tampa Bay defense. I think no turnovers forced by all 3 Florida defenses this week.
Love it. Love it. Riley, how about you?
I actually have 2 hot takes for this week.
Yeah.
In the Dolphins-Browns game, I think Dylan Gabriel, obviously he's a rookie, he's not at that level yet. I think Jalen Phillips gets his revenge from not taking down Justin Herbert last week. I think he forces a fumble in that game. And then my other hot take, I think Trevor Lawrence will put 300 yards against this Rams defense in London.
Wow.
It's
Going out
London,
on the limb there.
It's the Jags.
Yeah.
I don't know. He hasn't thrown 300 yards since October of last season.
Yeah.
It could happen. I wouldn't be surprised.
All right. I'm loving the hot takes. Of course, that was Riley and Dalton, our NFL beat reporters on WRUF.com. We're going to have to see, guys, next week if Dalton is able to catch up to Riley and take over that season head-to-head matchup lead. But, of course, be sure to check out all their work on WRUF.com. Appreciate you both for joining Twigs Overtime. Riley, Dalton, appreciate it. Back here on Twigs Overtime, and of course we're joined by our WRUF men's basketball beat reporter Jesse Bratman. Be sure to check out all his work on WRUF.com. He's been busy over the last few weeks, of course, as men's basketball gets ready to tip off the season here in just a couple of weeks. And Jesse, you were around yesterday. They had SEC Media Day, but before that, the Gators ranked number 3 in the AP preseason poll. What does being ranked number 3 in the preseason say about the Gators team currently?
Honestly, it's number 3. It's great. No complaints. I thought it was a little disrespectful putting Houston in front of us just because both teams lost so much talent. Both obviously played in the national championship last year. I thought Florida kind of retained, that core 4 backcourt, and Houston lost a lot of key pieces. They lost LJ Cryer. They lost Milos Uzan. They have a couple of freshmen in their starting lineup, and Florida has 2 very talented freshmen, not the least, but none in their projected starting lineup. So I thought putting Houston 2, Florida 3, a little disrespectful, but being number 3 in the country, you can't really have any complaints.
Not at all. You look at some other preseason accolades. Condon, first team All-SEC. Your thoughts?
I think Condon is going to tear up the floor, no doubt. He's with 4 players that also tore up the court last year. Otega Owe, Tahad Pettiford, LeBaron Philon, and Josh Hubbard. All 4 who arguably could have been SEC Player of the Year. So I think Alex Condon being in that key mix is very important, and I think he's going to have an incredibly important role on Florida. However, I think Thomas Houck is going to be the best player on this team. He was second team All-SEC along with Boogie Flan, so no really concern there. But I think Thomas Houck at the 3, he is so versatile. He can play 3, 4, 5. He is going to be that key piece. And last year with Walter Clayton Jr., we had that player that when you needed a shot, you go put it in Walt's hands and you go get a bucket. This year, with Walt gone, we really don't have that. Boogie, an amazing defender. Xavier and Lee, a great distributor. But I don't know if I have the confidence to say, tie game, 5 seconds left, get me a bucket. I think that's going to go to Thomas Houck this year just because he can shoot the three, he can post up, he's a bucket getter. So I think Thomas Houck, second team All-SEC, look out for him.
All right, we'll definitely look out for him. Switching gears here, Gators, some other SEC preseason accolades to talk about. Number one in the SEC. Think that's fair? Of course, coming off the national championship. Jesse, what do you think?
I think that's more than fair. Florida is by far the most dominant team in the SEC. Last year, we saw 14 of the 16 teams get in the tournament, one of the best conferences, arguably of all time last year, and there is a lot of talent drop-off. There's not even a single SEC team in the AP top 10 besides Florida. I think Florida, the ball is in its court, right? Florida has the opportunity, I wouldn't say to go undefeated in the SEC. That is a very, very high ask, especially with some teams, your Kentuckys, your Arkansas. But Florida is by far the most talented team in the SEC. That number one ranking is no joke. It is very fair, and a lot of the teams are going to want to punch them in the throat for that. So there's definitely a target on their back that they did not see last year, kind of with a more underdog mentality. They weren't even ranked in the top 10 last year to start preseason. So with that number 3 AP poll with the number 1 SEC, there's definitely a target on their back that they have not seen this year. I'm very curious to see how Florida was going to respond to that added pressure.
Absolutely. Well, right now the ball is in your court, Jesse. And so let's get a little prediction here on their SEC record. You mentioned the talented conference. How does Florida fare against this difficult, challenging schedule?
I think there's two teams that really, or two games that I have my calendar or my eyes set on. It's away against Kentucky and away against Alabama. Obviously, yesterday with Media Day, Denzel Aberdeen got asked, do you think you made the right decision leaving Florida? Because as we know, he would have been our fourth-year returning guard with no guard depth. That backcourt was his, but he chose to leave to Kentucky for money, and he didn't like that question very much. So I think that is going to be a revenge game for Denzel. I think he's going to love to just bite us in the neck, prove that leaving Florida wasn't a joke, that he made the right decision. So away in Lexington against Kentucky, that's Rupp Arena is one of the hardest arenas to play in the country. They would add it with that Denzel fire. And then Alabama, Nate Oates. For some reason, the Florida Gators last year, they swept Alabama. And I know that Nate Oates is going to want to get his revenge, especially. And he has a very talented roster. He got Jaleel Bethea, Miami, as I think was one of the best transfers in the country, coming as a 5-star, and now he has an opportunity to really shine. And Alabama, I know they lost Mark Sears, kind of their core, their Walter Clayton Jr., if you will, but I think away against Alabama, another very incredibly hard stadium to play in, is going to be a hard ask. So and you got to figure in one or two other losses unexpectedly. So I think the Gators can pull away with 4 comfortable losses and still run away with the SEC.
See, Jesse, how you feeling? We're almost there. We're almost there for tip-off. How are you feeling?
November 3rd, I'm very excited. The days keep getting closer. And like I said before, I think this Arizona game is going to be one of the best games that we see this season. Number 13 in the country, number 2 recruiting cast in the country, 2 5-star freshmen that are going to want to show out in their first game. Beating the national champions, defending national champions, that's a great feat. That's a great way to start your season. I think this is going to be one of the biggest tests that Florida has all season, and I'm very, very excited for November 3rd. I keep marking my calendar. We're getting one day closer, one day closer. I'm amped up to start the season, if you can already tell.
Absolutely. We're almost there. Of course, that is Jesse Bratman, our WRUF men's basketball beat reporter. Be sure to check out all of his coverage on WRUF.com. Of course, he has a lot of preseason coverage. Of course, covered SEC Media Day on Wednesday, and we'll continue to cover the team leading up to tip-off. Jesse, thank you so much for joining us on TWIGS Overtime.
Awesome. Thank you.
The only way to describe their product selection is outrageous. Jerseys, hats, tees, sunglasses, tumblers, and so much more are waiting for you at Rally House this homecoming weekend. Rally House Gainesville, 1680 West University Avenue, your one-stop shop for all your Gator gear.
Tired of working in a dead-end job? Start your new career with the Florida Department of Corrections. Earn $22 an hour, plus get up to a $6,000 signing bonus. Come meet the recruitment team in person Thursday from 5 to 7 at Gator BTW's, corner of Northwest 39th Avenue and Northwest 83rd Street in Gainesville.
This football season, make Hurricane BTW your game day getaway. Catch every play with an ice-cold Bud Light. Bud Light specials are here all season. Visit hurricanewings.com to find a location near you.
From the Spurrier's Gridiron Grill Studio, WRUF Gainesville, W251CG Gainesville, WRUF FM, HD2, and on the WRUF radio app.
The following is a Learfield presentation of the Gator Sports Network. Live from Miller's Ale House in Celebration Point, this is Gator Talk, presented by Dreamfinders Homes, building throughout Florida, official home builder of the Gators. Gator Talk is also brought to you by UF Health. At UF Health, we believe human progress has no finish line. Visit humanprogress.ufhealth.org to learn more. Meldon Law, official injury and accident law firm sponsor of the Florida Gators. We won't back down. Hellman's Real Mayonnaise. Do dip with Hellman's and do no wrong. And by Wells Fargo, official retail bank of the Florida Gators. Now let's go to Miller's Ale House at Celebration Point in Gainesville. Here's the voice of the Gators, Sean Kelly.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Gator Talk. Good to be back at Miller's Ale House on this Thursday night. Good to have a great crowd here gathered in front of us. And we say hello to all of you listening across the state, all along the network. This is, of course, the official start to not just a home football weekend, but homecoming weekend, of course, at UF. And we're all excited as the Gators come home to take on Mississippi State at 4:20 p.m. on Saturday. 4:20 p.m. will be the kickoff time. Hall of Fame inductions tomorrow night at the goal line at Ben Hill Griffin Stadium. We'll touch on that a little bit. And then, of course, we'll all be excited about Trey Smack coming tonight. The Gators kicker has put himself now in the top 5 in UF history in a couple of categories. And for a young man that had a bit of a frustrator in the opener, he's hit 9 straight field goals now. And I won't jinx him, but he'll be with us a little bit later in the hour. But with that, we, as always, open up the show here, and we welcome in the head coach of the Florida Gators, Billy Napier, back with us tonight. Hi, Coach.
See you.
Good to see
Good
you.
to be back.
How's the week for the Gators in preparation for homecoming this Saturday?
You know, I've been impressed with the players. You know, we kind of challenged the ownership at each position. We've got a great leadership group, and man, I thought we practiced really well yesterday, and today they had some energy about them. So, in general, we're getting healthier as we get closer to the game, so we've got a couple of players back. But they're excited. You know, I think this is – we try to educate the players throughout the week about the importance of homecoming and all that comes with that. And, you know, I tell them to visualize themselves coming back one day, and it'll be important, you know, for them that the team plays well.
Yeah.
You know, and I think they've taken that to heart, and they're excited about the opportunity.
Is it something that they can – when you talk to them about that, can they envision themselves? It's hard at that age.
Yeah.
20 years down the road, like I have a feeling there are a lot of football alumni, a lot of Gators alumni in general, coming back. They want to see their team play well and win this weekend. The guys want to perform for them. Can they put themselves in those shoes 20 years down the road, saying, "Hey, when I come back, I want to see my team win"?
Well, we sell it in recruiting. You know, I think we really sell the big picture approach in terms of starting here, finishing here, the degree, connecting with the alumni, and certainly coming back, making a home for yourself where you can come back the rest of your life. So hopefully they visualize that the entire time, and they're committed to the whole journey, as we say. But, and look, this group has got a lot of pride to play for here, you know, so they've invested quite a bit. You know, I know we haven't got the result. We've lost some close games. But I think it means something to them to be a part of that team and the commitment that they have to each other as well.
There's that factor on top of what is a normal week.
Absolutely.
Okay, so what kind of a toll can that take on a team? Can they use it to their advantage?
You know, I'm going to tell you, young people are resilient, and I do think that there's emotion that comes with frustration, but we've been on the other end of these things as well, right? So I think the maturity, some of our veteran players really being vocal, they've been on the good side of these games and then been on the tough side of these games. So you got to turn it around, and it takes some consistency and maturity to do that, and that's physical because you're turning around from playing a really physical game, and then mentally you're learning a new game plan. You got to get comfortable with a new opponent, their scheme, their personnel, and then there's an emotional toll that comes with what we've been through. So, but they're in a good place, and I know they're looking forward to Saturday.
In any normal week, there's this mix, right? What needs to be cleaned up from the prior week? What is the preparation for this week? Coach, what would the cleanups be from the Texas A&M game? What are the game-specific preparations for a team like Mississippi State?
Well, we need to start faster on defense. I mean, we all experienced that. 3 possessions, 3 touchdowns, dug a hole for ourselves. And then we need to sustain the execution level that we had on offense early. The issues have been first and second down efficiency. And look, we played against a good team, so they contribute to it as well in a tough environment. So, I think Mississippi State is a team that is much improved. I think they're in year 2 with Coach Levy's system on offense with a quarterback that played a lot last year. This is really his 3rd year playing. And then obviously defensively, in my opinion, one of the more improved units in the entire league. This team has like 63 new players, right? So it's almost a completely different team than last year. So I think they've done a good job. They're in year 2. They won the first 4. They've had a couple close games, Tennessee, and then they hung around in the first half against A&M, and then obviously A&M took over in the second. So they've got good pieces to work with, and Coach Levy is a good young coach and one of the best up-and-comers there is out there.
No doubt. We're going to ask him about a 3-3-5 defense, what that's like, and a few other things. Shapen, if you remember, played against the Gators last year, got hurt in that game, and then was done for the year. So I think he'll have some extra motivation there as well. Coach, you mentioned the emotional toll on the players.
Mm-hmm.
What's the emotional toll on the head coach? And the reason I'm bringing this up is because throughout this week with the media and whatnot, you've taken that head on and the acknowledgement of a very loud and noisy environment.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking about your career, right? Dating back to UL or even as a player, what possibly could prepare you for what this part of the job is, or a week like this, or these last couple of weeks? And are you finding your way through it, or are you leaning on something?
Yeah, I think that the world we live in right now, the game is more popular than it's ever been for good reason. I think there's more parity, there's more competition. I think you see more teams are emerging as contenders, so there's the excitement that comes with that. But I think you get into the profession with kind of a purpose in mind, a big picture about why you coach, and I don't think you can ever lose sight of that. So I try to get consumed with my role relative to the players, and that's really what I focus my time on. And obviously you got a lot of people within the organization as well. So your example, I think, being consistent. And I do think you got to have some substance to your life, and for me that's always been, I think I've learned as I've went through my career that you got to have a foundation. That's been my faith for me, and I think that gives me perspective, in a very temporary circumstance. I think there's a little bit different. You can back up and see the big picture. I think you can see it. And that allows me to be consistent for our players and our staff.
I appreciate you sharing that very much.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir. Audience questions on the other side of the break. More to talk about with regard to Mississippi State. And there are some other developments with the Gators players that are worth keeping an eye on for this weekend. You may know some of the numbers, and a couple of them are pretty young along the way as well. We'll get into that most certainly here before the 8 o'clock hour comes to us. Gators fans, don't forget you can score a taste touchdown at your next tailgate with Hellmann's, the official mayonnaise of Florida Athletics. We continue with Gator Talk presented by Dream Finders Homes. from Miller's Ale House after this on the Gator Sports Network from Learfield.
Is that Tacoma towing a pink mechanical bull? Sure seems like it. Well, I'll be.
Truck like you truck with a great deal during Toyota Truck Month. Get $1,000 in Conquest bonus cash for new Toyota customers on a new 2025 Toyota Tacoma. Valid through November 3rd, 2025. Offer entitles $1,000 Conquest bonus cash on certain new 2025 and 2026 Toyota pickup trucks for current non-Toyota owners of small, midsize, and large pickup trucks. Exclusions apply. See dealer for details. Toyota. Let's go places.
Hey Gator Nation, this is Vicki Brown-Worski, Director of Gators and Pal Herd. As the Bank of Doing and official sponsor of Florida Athletics, Wells Fargo is supporting our student athletes on and off the field with interactive financial health curriculum and empowerment resources. Wells Fargo has a game plan for the full student athlete experience from their first semester on campus through graduation. Learn more about what Wells Fargo is doing to put people and communities first by visiting wellsfargo.com/impact.
Hey, college football fans, I know you'd do anything for a win on game day and an ice-cold Bud Light. Because whether you're tailgating in the parking lot or parked on the couch, sitting on your lucky stool at the bar, or standing in the fan section all game long, the clean, crisp taste of Bud Light turns a win into a win-win. And there's nothing easier to enjoy than that. Bud Light. Easy to drink, easy to enjoy. Enjoy responsibly. Anheuser-Busch Bud Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
This is Gator Talk, presented by Dreamfinders Homes on the Gator Sports Network from Learfield.
Steve Russell here for Southeast Car Agency in Gainesville, 310 Northeast 39th Avenue. The Cousins family has run that business for 45-plus years, and in all that time, specializing in one thing, giving you the best alternative you have to purchasing a new vehicle, the best in late-model, low-mileage vehicles. I've been driving one for a long time. I trust them. You will trust them as well. And when you go see them in person, make sure and tell them Sports Scene sent you to the good people at Southeast Car Agency in Gainesville.
Ugh, dead battery.
Head to Batteries Plus. Our experts will set you up with a new car battery. Most are installed in under 20 minutes.
That was fast.
Upgrade with a premier install for longer battery life. Batteries Plus, the experts in charge.
Say no more to dingy clothes and spots on your clean dishes. Call Perry's Pump Repair in Alachua today for your free water analysis. From water softeners to treatment, let them show you what life-changing water solutions can do for you. Visit perryspumprepair.com.
This is former Gator quarterback Shane Matthews, and you're listening to the home of Gator football, WRUF 98.1 FM, 850 AM, and 103.7 HD2.
Live from Miller's Ale House in Celebration Point, you're listening to Gator Talk, presented by Dreamfinders Homes. Once again, here's Sean Kelly.
Visit your local Toyota dealers today and take advantage of great offers on Toyota trucks during Truck Month. There's no wrong way to truck, so truck like you truck in a 2025 Tundra or Tacoma. Toyota, let's go places. Lauren Hager is not only going into the Hall of Fame this weekend, she's also the honorary Mr. Two Bits. And if you followed her on social media this week or read Chris Harry's piece on FloridaGators.com, if you want some joy in your life this week, read about that and how excited she is to have this amazing weekend, and why not, with the career that she had and being a national champ, of course, at Florida. All right, Billy Napier here with us. We're gearing up for homecoming on Saturday against Mississippi State. We've kind of got a conversation started. Trey Smack will be here at the bottom of the hour, but this is about the time that we start to invite our audience into the conversation. And we'll make it 2 in a row, or is it 3 in a row now? Sue, coach, is going to lead us off.
Wouldn't have it any other way.
No, wouldn't have it any other way. Dante, she needs no introduction.
Yep.
It's all yours.
Here's Sue. Hi, Coach. Hi, Sean. How are you?
Good, Sue.
Good.
Great to see you.
All right. So I took a little look at Mississippi State. So last week was about, the Gators. So let me take a look at Mississippi State. And you mentioned the quarterback. So when I was looking at the stats, and they have like a 1-2-3 punch. That's what I'll call it. Because the quarterback has passed for 9 touchdowns. But then when I went to look at 2 running backs, they have a combined 10 touchdowns.
Correct.
So this week, looking at a strong offense, how has the defense been practicing, and how do you prepare for this 1-2-3 punch?
Now, one of the backs is not available for the game. Obviously, one of their better players, really impressive player.
Fluff, right?
Correct.
Yes.
But yeah, the two backs are really impressive. It's been interesting. We have followed Mississippi State a couple times, so I've been watching their offense against the defenses that we've been playing. So we've got a little bit of preview. Same thing on the other side of the ball. But in general, I would say that, there's tempo to the offense. We play against this system. If you think about Tennessee, if you think about South Florida, even a little bit of Ole Miss, okay, there's some Briles influence, and certainly there's a little bit of the Heupel background there. So I think Jeff does a great job. He has got a veteran quarterback. The offensive line is playing better, and they've got some really good run-after-catch players at receiver. So there's balance to what they do. We try to replicate the tempo, so we typically work 2 plays at a time. We'll work on the P and 10 plays where they come out of the huddle, and then we'll go as fast as we can go on the second play, try to replicate the tempo, and we do that quite a bit throughout the week. So we have some tempo to our system, and when we do crossover work, we try to replicate as much as we can. So it's been good, and we have our way of doing it, and typically we play pretty good against these teams.
Sue, thank you. Aaron Childs said this week, communication on the field is top of the list right now for the Gators defense in this situation. How do you get the communication sideline personnel-wise in these tempo situations to go right?
All right. Well, first of all, you got to have a great plan for substitutions, right? You got to take advantage of every opportunity to substitute and slow the game down, right? So anytime there's a where they go 1-for-1, we go 1-for-1, and we slow sub. And then obviously when the ball goes out of bounds on the sideline, they'll stop it as well, right? So we got to be clued in, and you'll see us shift players in and out to try to slow down the game. And then obviously once we do get the signal, it's all about getting your cleats in the ground and getting a line and getting your eyes in the right spot. So tempo's part of it, part of the game each week nowadays. It's amazing. I was talking to one of my assistant coaches. In my career, you went from huddle to a no-huddle fad, and then now we're trending back to the huddle, So each week, the variety of scheme and the variety of tempo that we see in college football right now is very unique.
It is. Mm-hmm. From where I sit to watch the game in the broadcast booth, I can see Mississippi State sub a guy off.
That's right.
At field level, not so easy. So
yeah, we have them in the box.
In the box are the ones who calling out.
Yeah, we call it out, and then we're coordinated in our attempt to substitute.
Okay, because you need to take advantage of that very opportunity. Dante, who's next?
Next up, we have Darius, who's a senior here at the University of Florida.
Happy homecoming, Darius.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Darius, where are you from, man?
I'm born and raised from Gainesville.
Okay.
Right.
Where'd you go to high school?
I went to GHS.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. So, as we all know, we're 2-4 on the season.
Yes, sir.
And obviously, when you start 2-4, most teams quit and give in the towel. But what I've seen within the last few weeks and since the season started, the team has not quit. And I wanted to know, what is the key to not having the team quit and just keep pushing forward?
That's a very smart question, Darius.
Yeah. Darius, we're going to invite you back every week,
yes,
buddy. Listen, I think we have, first of all, we have quality young men. We've got really the mental makeup of the group, the character of the group. And look, they have a lot invested into the team and each other, and I think they're very capable. And we've played some of the best teams in the country here. I think for the first time in the history of college football, a team's played 4 top 10 teams. So we've played really good teams. We've beat Texas 2 weeks ago, and I think they're one of the better teams. So in general here, we've lost on the road. We've been able to win at home. They've been fourth quarter, 1-score games. And I think that this group is motivated by the fact of seeing how they can maximize their potential. And we are very aware of what DJ has been through this offseason. And I think that's part of it as well, as they see him getting better, coming to life. And he had by far his best week this week in practice. So they know within the walls here kind of what's going on, and I think that's part of it.
Thank you for coming tonight. Appreciate it. Dante, who's next?
We got Jose here.
All right, Jose.
All right, Coach. How you doing?
I'm great, Jose. How about you, buddy?
Good. 5 years we never beat the Bulldogs. We've been losing for 5 years. Are you be ready this next week?
I want to just remind you that we beat the Mississippi State Bulldogs last year.
Yeah, we're talking about the Bulldogs, Georgia.
Yeah, there you go.
We don't play them this week.
Mississippi State, 4:20, Jose. 4:20 p.m., man.
4:20.
Mississippi State. We'll be back in 2 weeks to talk about the next one.
How about the fact that Mississippi State has not played here, Coach, since 2010?
Yeah.
2010. Been a little bit.
Yeah, you think about how this league is evolving, right? The new schedules come out. It's really, in my opinion, going to be a great experience for our fans. You know, not only we're gonna host a lot of teams that we haven't seen here in a long time. You know, so there'll be a bunch of history made, and then we'll get to play in some of these venues on the road in the future. So, in general, I think that there's a lot of positives, and it's going to be great for the fans, the Florida fans in the future.
So any cowbells coming into our ballpark? No cowbells.
I told the boys that they're not allowed to bring the Cowboys with them.
Thank you. Dante, I got time for one more, quick. You good? Okay. We can hold off till we get back from the break. Coach, before we go to the break, let's go ahead and draw one of our 3 winners tonight. How about 2 tickets to the game, by the way, which is now sold out. That's 16 straight sellouts. Way to go, Gators. 16 straight sellouts now. So homecoming, 2 tickets here. Now a hotter commodity than it was even earlier today. Last 4 numbers on your red ticket, gang. 4889. 4889. We'll see you up here during the break, and we'll take that now. Back after this with more Gator Talk presented by Dreamfinders Homes after these messages on the Gator Sports Network from Learfield.
Gator fans, your dream home is closer than you think. Dreamfinders Homes, the official home builder of the Florida Gators and the 2025 National Builder of the Year, is offering incredible interest rate incentives across communities in Jacksonville, Orlando, and Tampa. Whether you're a first-time buyer or ready to upgrade, there's no better time than now to start owning, and we have the home for you. Start your search today at dreamfindershomes.com. Dreamfinders Homes, built for Florida, built for Gators.
My best friend Riley loved going to the beach. She was a great swimmer. Then one day, during a swim meet, she collapsed. She had cancer, Hodgkin lymphoma. She spent months getting care at UF Health. The doctors did so much, even put her in a clinical trial. I wish we could go to the beach right now, but she's working.
Out of the water.
She's on lifeguard duty. Maybe we'll head out when her shift is done.
UF Health. Human progress has no finish line.
Are you ready for some Gators football excitement, fans? Get ready to take your game day experience to the next level with Janet King Commercial Cleaning Services, the ultimate partner for a winning clean. Janet King has been a leader in the commercial cleaning industry for over 50 years, providing top-notch commercial cleaning services to businesses across Florida and beyond. Not only does Janet King provide exceptional game day cleaning, but they also offer tailored cleaning solutions for all types of businesses. For commercial cleaning services, go to janetking.com. That's JANIKING.com.
This is Gator Talk, presented by Dreamfinders Homes on the Gator Sports Network from Learfield.
Spurrier's Gridiron Grill is a special type of place for Gator fans and fans of great food, which is why we made every day special. Join us on Martini Tuesdays for half off our handcrafted martinis and wine Wednesdays, where you can enjoy a bottle of wine for 50% off. On Old Fashioned Thursdays, indulge in our selection of 8 classic old-fashioned cocktails. And of course, don't forget Sunday brunch. And now you can look special in some of our great merchandise, available at the restaurant or online at spurriers.com. Spurrier's Gridiron Grill, the hottest restaurant in Florida in the heart of Gator Nation.
Daughtry Tree Service reminds you that an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, meaning fix it now before it's a problem. Call Daughtry Tree for a free property risk assessment. Now that just makes sense. Be safe. Visit DaughtryTree.com. Tired of working in a dead-end job? Start your new career with the Florida Department of Corrections. Earn $22 an hour, plus get up to a $6,000 signing bonus. Come meet the recruitment team in person Thursday from 5 to 7 at Gator BTW's, corner of Northwest 39th Avenue and Northwest 83rd Street in Gainesville.
Every Gator football game all season long, right here on WRUF, 98.1 FM, 850 AM, and 103.7 HD2.
Gator Talk, presented by Dreamfinders Homes, continues. For more of tonight's show, here's Sean Kelly.
Homecoming weekend gets a good boost tomorrow night across the street. Chomp the Block is back as the Gators are back home here at Celebration Point tomorrow night at 6. You can get your orange and blue on, and the block party will be underway. Good food, great music, and, of course, a lot of great people, too. Weather should be fantastic. By the way, 84 is the projected temperature at kickoff on Saturday. Perfect, and it will cool as we progress. Dallas Wilson, by the way, has played 2 games now, and he has 3 touchdowns. He is the first true freshman receiver in Florida Gators football history to catch touchdowns in each of his first 2 games. First ever. So he's not the first to do it in his first season, because back when this guy played, freshmen were not allowed to go. But the Cuban Comet, Carlos Alvarez, in 1969 was the last to get touchdowns in each of his first 2 games. Dallas Wilson, Coach, I thought about this at practice today. I'm watching Dallas, I'm watching Jaden, I'm watching Vernell Brown III, and I'm like, I wonder if Coach could, we could do a little wing tee and just put the 3 of them back there and have fun with that.
Yeah.
I'm overthinking this, but Coach, these young players right now,
amazing. Yeah, they're first of all, they're extremely talented. I mean, what I'm impressed most with is the work habits and the competitive spirit. I mean, I think they show up every day. They're tough, they're durable, and they're wise beyond their years on the field. Got good character, bring good energy to the table every day.
Yep.
And just freshmen and sophomores. So, yeah, they're outstanding. And
go ahead.
Dallas is a major difference maker. He changes the entire game. And you can see that just in 2 weeks. You know, the guy makes a difference. And even when he's on the field and he's not getting the ball, he's a factor, right? Because they got to make a decision on how they're going to play him. So all the other people benefit from that.
Yeah, Trey Wilson's another guy that influences, obviously, pick your poison type stuff. Speaking of sophomores, DJ Lagway, Coach, this has been obviously a conversation every week because of the circumstances. Lagway going into this football game is what as compared to a week ago?
Well, I'll just say this. He's got that look in his eye, okay? And I saw it probably last week. I saw it on Wednesday. This week I've seen it the entire week. And I just think he's getting closer to being back in that rhythm. He's confident. He's playing fast. He's anticipating. The ball's jumping out. And he's had a good week. The ball's been spinning well. And we got a good, healthy receiver group as well. So I think that's part of it.
Coach, you said on Monday that Lagway's ability to hurt teams with his legs has not been there. I'm paraphrasing what you said. Is that coming back soon? I think you even referenced the way he looked like, say, against Kentucky last year.
Yeah.
He was able to beat people with his legs.
Yeah, really, I would say Mississippi State last year, Kentucky last year, you saw the ability to run with the ball, right? I mean, I think about the first play of the Kentucky game. You know, he scrambles around the right, makes a guy miss, and gets up and signals first down. You know, the off-schedule play, the design quarterback run. So he got banged up in the Texas game. He was not able to move around quite a bit last week. And then I think he's closer this week. Okay. You know, he tells me he feels better. So hopefully we'll be able to open it up a little bit Saturday. We'll see.
Is he honest with you? Because I'm thinking back to another young player early in my career. His name was Chris Paul. And he was never honest about the way that he really felt. And so it became harder on Byron Scott at the time to be Chris Paul's brain for him a little bit. Do you find yourself that with DJ, a guy that wants to let it rip?
No, he's pretty transparent.
Okay.
I mean, I think he's and you got to help him. You know, I mean, I think he's still a young man. He's still a young player. It's a big deal. I mean, it's a big stage, and certainly he's been through. You know, I'm thankful that he had the positive experience he had last year. I think that helps him navigate what he's been through early in the season and this offseason.
Back to our audience questions. Dante, we can fit another one in here.
All right, we have Tara here.
Hi, Tara.
Coach, I just want to tell you that speaking up on the following of the last question, the character that you brought back to this team, I think I said it last year too, but it is a great thing that has happened to this team with the character building, because we haven't had it for a long time. And that coming with these players that you've gotten for us, the players that you've brought to us have been amazing talent, and I appreciate you bringing that to us. And then each week, the fights you guys have, and you see those boys fighting for you, it's a beautiful thing.
Thank you, Tara.
Appreciate the comment, Tara. Thank you very much. Coach, I teased earlier, yeah, absolutely. I teased earlier that I would have you explain a 3-3-5 defense. And this is a Mississippi State defense that is tied for first in the league in interceptions, but it's a unique look. How often are they in that look? What makes it so unique, and how does Lagway and this offense navigate this?
So they play a lot of front variables, right? They play a 4-down front, they play an odd front, and then they play what we call a magic front, which is essentially this 3-3-5 structure. And this defense is built for the 4 open spread tempo RPO systems, right?
Okay.
And they play a mixture of these against, depending on what personnel grouping you're in. So if you got 2 tight ends out there, they play a little more 4-down, a little more odd front. And then if you spread it out, then they're going to play this kind of non-traditional structure. They move one of the edge players to the middle of the linebackers. He plays on the second level in the core. And then the inside backers are the apex players, and then they play with 3 safeties. They move the nickel to the middle of the field, and they play with 5 in the back end, 3 on the second level, and 3 down guys. And it's unique. The spots are different, and I think it causes you to evaluate how you mic the runs and then how you block the support players on the second level.
Do they have the ability to bait play callers into something they would prefer, or do they have to totally react upon what the play caller shows them formation-wise?
Well, nowadays the defensive coordinators are pretty tuned in to the no-huddle teams. They're guessing based off of what formation backfield set you're in. So this guy in particular likes to call it off the formation. So if he sees you spread out, then he's going to call a little more spread defense.
The one you talked about, yes.
Correct. So, and look, they played a lot of 4 open spread tempo teams early in the year, Tennessee in particular. This defense was built to create issues for that type of offense.
All right, that Mississippi State defense is 11th in the conference in scoring defense. They're 15th against the run. They're 4th against the pass. I mean, like this huge disparity between what they do against the run and what they do against the pass. And that's why I asked Coach to get kind of into the weeds with me on their defense a little bit. All right, we are behind for a break, but the good news is when we come back from that break, we're going to talk to a very interesting young man who is making a place in the history books as far as being a Gator kicker. Trey Smack will join Coach Napier and myself after this on the Gator Sports Network from Learfield.
Hey Gators, Chris Doring here. Growing up in Gainesville, my dream was to be a Florida Gator. I was honored to be a part of a team that changed it all in the mid-90s. Drawing on that same determination and work ethic, myself and my team at Chris Doring Mortgage put forth relentless effort to get our clients to the closing table and into a home they love. Find out how we can help you with a purchase loan or a refinance. Visit ChrisDoringMortgage.com.
Chris Doring Mortgage, powered by MortgageAdvisors.com, NMLS 701-68193-7321, Equal Housing Lender.
Every great team is built on a solid game plan, sharp execution, and total trust in the crew beside you. At Quality Plumbing, we bring that same championship mindset to every job we do. For over 40 years, we've been the starting lineup for homes and businesses across North Central Florida, delivering reliable service, expert craftsmanship, and big wins for our customers. Call us today or visit QualityPlumbing.com. We're your first string team. License number CFC 043073.
If an insurance company is there to sell you insurance, shouldn't it also be there to service it with real people? At Florida Farm Bureau Insurance, we're here to help. We're focused on your specific needs. That's why we have local agents working for you in every county across the state, offering competitive rates and fast, friendly service. It's more than insurance. It's the kind of treatment you deserve. Find a local agent at ffbic.com to set up your free no-obligation insurance review. Farm Bureau Insurance, helping you is what we do best. Proud to support Gators Athletics.
This is Gator Talk, presented by Dreamfinders Homes on the Gator Sports Network from Learfield.
When it comes time to gear up for Gator games, there's only one place you can count on here in Gainesville, and that's Rally House. You name it, they have it, and so much more. The beauty of Rally House is they always have the most popular gear, but they even have products and merchandise you've never even seen before from brands you'll love. This homecoming weekend, head to Rally House, 1680 West University Avenue, and check out all they have to offer.
At the UPS store, we get it. Being a small biz owner requires grit and hustle, but you don't have to do it alone. We've got your back. You put your heart and soul into your biz, we put ours into packing and shipping. While you're keeping track of your custom-made orders, our mailboxes are keeping your packages safe. Because we're here to help you be unstoppable with shredding, printing, notary, and more. Most locations are independently owned. Product, services, pricing, and hours of operation may vary. See Center for details. The UPS store. Be unstoppable. Come into your local store today.
This is former Gator quarterback Shane Matthews, and you're listening to the home of Gator football, WRUF 98.1 FM, 850 AM, and 103.7 HD2.
This is Gator Talk, presented by Dreamfinders Homes, your home for all things orange and blue. Once again, here's Sean Kelly.
Hey, ready to kick off your retirement? If you don't have a defensive financial plan that includes the best offense for your goals, visit guardingyournestegg.com to meet Talon Wealth, the official wealth management team of the Florida Gators. Compensation paid to Learfield for partnership with the Gators. Welcome back to Miller's Ale House. Great service here as always. This is a great spot to catch football. And obviously there are games already on tonight, and we have postseason baseball on. Keep them in mind throughout the weekend. Of course, next Thursday, we're right back here. The Gators are on. We need a better name for the bye week. The Gators are idle next week, football-wise. Todd Golden will be here for Gator Talk next Thursday night at 7 o'clock. Okay, so I just got kind of reprimanded by our next guest because he's afraid that I'm going to jinx him by telling you some of these things. But I promise I will not put a broadcaster jinx on Trey Smack. Raise your hand if you remember Evan McPherson, by the way. Everybody in the room. Evan McPherson is third all-time at Florida with 91 consecutive PATs made. Trey Smack, our next guest, is 88 for his last 88. He's 3 shy of catching Evan McPherson.
How about that?
How about that? I didn't
know that.
You didn't know that? Yeah. And I mentioned at the top, if you remember, kind of a rough opener. Trey missed 3 field goal attempts, which shocked all of us the way he's been kicking. Well, since he's made 9 straight. So I think, Coach Napier, we can start our conversation there. What does that say about a young man who runs into a bump like that and then just proceeds to not miss again for 9 tries?
Well, he's got a body of work. You know, I think this is not a just a game for Trey. He has a career at the University of Florida. You know, so I think there's a body of work here. Let me say this about Trey. Trey is one of my all-time favorite players, you know, and he's unique as a specialist in that he's a competitor. This guy's an elite athlete, tough. I mean, he was a skilled player in high school, and he is a leader on our team. He is a voice on our team that affects the whole energy of the team. So, in general, this guy brings it every day. He has a positive impact on his teammates. He's been through a lot as a player, and he's one of the best kickers in the entire country. So we all knew, you know, when you're Michael Jordan or you're Steph Curry and you miss a couple shots, you just keep shooting, man. So Trey, you know, he just needs to keep kicking that ball, and he did that. He's back to doing great things again. No doubt. By the way, the field goal that he hit this past weekend now has him at 44 career field goals. That's 4th most now in UF history. I told you we had some top 5 stuff to talk about here. Trey, hi. Thanks for coming tonight.
How you doing?
How did a Maryland kid end up in Gainesville, Florida?
It was a crazy story. So I ended up playing lacrosse in high school and soccer, and then I decided soccer wasn't my thing anymore. And I really wanted to go to college for, you know, just lacrosse. But so COVID hit. And then after that, they locked up all the lacrosse schools. So I couldn't practice lacrosse. And I was kicked field goals for the high school. my sophomore year, and so I figured, why not just try kicking field goals? So I got hooked up with Matt Stover, who was an old Ravens kicker, and me and his son and I played lacrosse together. So he trained me through just text message. I would send him videos, and and he would give me pointers and stuff like that, and I just work on it in my off time. And you got nothing to do in COVID, so and the janitors at the high school would tell me what time they get off, so they wouldn't be responsible for me being there. But no, it was an interesting time during COVID. So 9 months just training. I was like, maybe I'll go to a camp and see how well I do. So I go to a camp. I go like 12 for 15, and then I averaged like 80, or like I hit an 84-yard kickoff or something. I didn't think anything of it because this is my first camp. So I go there, and then a couple weeks later, I look at the rankings, and I completely scroll past the top 20 because I was like, there's no way I'm top 20. So I was like, man, I didn't even get ranked. Then my dad texts me about 5 minutes later. He's like, dude, you're 15. I was like, are you serious? So I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. And then next month, go to another showcase and compete there as well. I come to the Florida camp about 2021, and I was visiting other schools at the time, and it was an interesting process. But ultimately, I decided this is the best place for me. So it was a great opportunity that Coach gave me, and then the rest is history.
The rest is history. Coach, you mentioned that he's a leader, and he's a case in point for what you said about making this your home. Obviously, on target to graduate in May. And so I am curious, though, when it comes to football, what conversations do you have with a kicker on a game day?
I use a lot of golf analogies with him, and really just positive. I try to encourage him. Look, he doesn't need much of that, to be quite honest. Joe Houston's incredible. And does a great job with those guys, but really just keeping them in a good space, try to empower them. And, I think we've been fortunate to build a really good culture on special teams. Our specialists are very much connected to the team. They have great relationships with the rest of the team. And we try to promote them. We try to put them in front of the team. And Trey's been a great example. He's in the process of grooming a couple of these young guys that are up and coming. Oh, yeah. There were others along the way that kind of taught him the way. Jeremy was a great mentor for him, and then he's passing that along to some of these other guys. So him, Tommy, Rocco, all have great connection with the team, and I try to stay out of their way, and just give them a little encouragement if I see them struggling a little bit. But I think that's the most important part is you keep it technical. You let the coach, and just be there for them and tell them to keep shooting that shot, man.
Yep, I don't disagree with that. Fans, field goal range, right? I'll say the team is getting into field goal range. Coach calls that the kick line a lot of times. Coach, when it comes to Trey Smack, what is the kick line for you when the Gators have the football?
Like last week, it was 40 on both ends. It was a good night to kick the ball last week.
It was.
Yeah, ball was bouncing last week, and sometimes it's 35, 38, just depends on the conditions.
He's shaking his head. What should it be?
Joe gives me the real kick line. He may tell him one thing, but we meet right before the game. I'll say, all right, going this way, what is it? Going that way, what is it? Last week it was 40 on both ends, and then, sometimes it might be raining or might be wind and all that. So all that comes into a factor. And look, each stadium's a little bit different, right? These guys go over and kick in the stadium each week. Joe takes them over, Tuesday?
Yeah, yes, sir.
Yeah. So I think we try to get them in that environment. That's something that we've learned listening to them. And then we try to mix when they kick throughout practice, mix that up a little bit to try to create the game and then get them in that game day atmosphere. I'll tell you one of the cool things that Trey has told me that he probably has forgotten, but they do reps in the stadium where they actually start on the sideline, right? Full game day operation where they run on the field and go through their entire routine, not just stay in one spot and hit the ball. It's kind of like recreate the game, and I think that's been beneficial for the whole group.
No doubt. That would be long snapper, holder, kicker, right? Yep.
Yeah.
Very cool. Coach, final thought from you. I'm going to continue with Trey, if you don't mind, but final thought from you as you get ready to go back to your preparations.
Yeah, we got a hungry group. I think this group is excited about Saturday. We spent a lot of time emphasizing the importance of the game, and I do think that they take pride in who they represent. We got a lot of great people and players that came before them, and homecoming's a big deal, and this is the next challenge, right? So we've had a good look in our eye yesterday and today, and I'm excited about getting this thing going. Let's go get us one.
I agree. Sold-out crowd right behind you.
Yes, sir.
Let's send Coach off the right way. Coach Napier, thank you so much.
You got it.
Appreciate it, and we'll see you on Saturday, of course, for that 4:20 kickoff. Sir. Nice noise here, of course, at a pretty full Miller's Ale House, too. Hey, friends, don't forget, enter the Florida Credit Union Pet of the Game contest. Earn wagging rights all season long. Submit a photo of your pet showing off their Gator pride, and you can win gift cards to the UF Bookstore and Gallo Car Wash, plus a VIP ticket package to the Florida State game, and be eligible to win Pet of the Year honors. Enter today at flcu.org/FCUPETS. Trey Smack. More with him after this on the Gator Sports Network from Learfield.
Hey Gators, when you bring Hellman's creamy buffalo chicken dip to the watch party, you can be a couch coach, cheer too loud, or worse, bring a friend who knows nothing about football.
How do they get the yellow line to move on the field?
Because when you do dip with Hellman's, you can do no wrong. That's a Hail Mayo. Hellman's, the official mayonnaise of Florida Athletics. Bring out the best.
At ViStar Credit Union, we go the extra mile to bring University of Florida fans better banking. Open a ViStar Plus checking account and unlock up to $570 in annual savings. Enjoy perks like getting paid up to 2 days early with direct deposit, identity and phone protection, and so much more. All for just $5.99 a month. To learn more, visit one of ViStar's local branches or visit ViStarCU.org. ViStar Credit Union, proud partner of the Florida Gators. Go Gators!
Gator fans, your dream home is closer than you think. Dreamfinders Homes, the official home builder of the Florida Gators and the 2025 National Builder of the Year, is offering incredible interest rate incentives across communities in Jacksonville, Orlando, and Tampa. Whether you're a first-time buyer or ready to upgrade, there's no better time than now to start owning, and we have the home for you. Start your search today at dreamfindershomes.com. Dreamfinders Homes, built for Florida, built for Gators.
This is Gator Talk, presented by Dreamfinders Homes on the Gator Sports Network from Learfield.
You're behind the wheel, there on foot. One moment of distraction, one missed stop, and everything can change. In Florida, over 12,000 pedestrian-related crashes occurred last year, a nearly 20% increase from the year before. Drivers always slow down near crosswalks and never pass another car that stopped for someone crossing. Failing to yield can cost you a heavy fine, points on your license, or someone's life. This message is brought to you by the Florida Department of Highway Safety and Motor Vehicles.
Gear up to root on the Gators at the University of Florida Bookstore at the Rights Union. The UF Bookstore will be open from 8 a.m. till 5 p.m. for all the orange and blue gear you need. There's a large selection of clearance items throughout the clothing department with many items up to 50% off original price. This is a great time to expand your Gator wardrobe and save some money too. So as you look to root on the Gators, debut some new orange and blue gear at the UF Bookstore, open noon to 5 on Sunday. So to score, just remember the University of Florida Bookstore inside the Rights Union on campus, and go Gators!
Every Gator football game all season long, right here on WRUF 98.1 FM, 850 AM, and 103.7 HD2.
Live from Miller's Ale House in Celebration Point, you're listening to Gator Talk, presented by Dreamfinders Homes. Once again, here's Sean Kelly.
Gators fans, your ultimate Florida Gator shopping experience awaits at Alumni Hall. Shop the best and officially licensed Gator gear from Nike champion Peter Millar, New Era, Yeti, and more. If you spend $150, you'll receive $10 in Hall cash for your next visit. Alumni Hall, of course, right here in Gainesville or online as well. They also have a cool app, Alumni Hall, where Gators fans shop. Okay, Trey Smack is here with us tonight. How about a signed Napier football for the first person who can tell me Trey Smack's career-long field goal made? Who said that? You're a winner. Wow, in the back left corner. Good ears. Trey Smack hit a 56-yarder against Long Island. That is his career long. It is also, by the way, the longest field goal successfully made in the SEC this year. So, and we're halfway through the season.
Wow.
Yeah, see, I got you a couple good things tonight, right?
I didn't know that.
You didn't know. What do you think your career long would be if given the opportunity? I've seen you in practice, but let me hear it out of your mouth. How far away could you kick it?
I think with a snap hold operation, it might be 64, 63.
63. Okay. That leads me to this question, because I hear this all the time now, and you may as well. Why is it seeming like now, in this era, 60-yard field goals, 55-yard field goals seem to be, I wouldn't say routine, but way more common than ever before? Is it the ball? Is it the leg of the kick? What's going on that has allowed you guys and your generation of kickers to be able to hammer these things like you do?
Yeah, I would say it's new technology within, cleats, and there's weight room, and like people are figuring out, okay, what muscles do kickers use?
Okay.
We need to kind of work and simulate how fast they can move their leg and what's their flexibility, other stuff like that, and also the new kicking cleats, like my cleats, like barely weigh a pound. Both of them holding up. They're really light. I think it's the footballs too. I think the leather they have in the footballs they're light. They're and when you rub them down and beat them up, and you know how they're like sometimes there's a lot of texture on them.
Mm-hmm.
The best ones is when they're smooth and they're round, because the sweet spot's bigger and you can drive it through more. So it's a little bit of everything.
If I held up my fist, and again, for radio listeners, this is hard, but think about your own average fist size. Is that about the size of a sweet spot for a football, or is it bigger, smaller than that?
No, it's smaller.
Smaller?
Yeah. It's probably about
half dollar size?
Yeah, probably around a quarter.
And you've got to hit that sweet spot every time?
Yeah, that's the perfect ball.
Okay.
So
that I did not know. I would never have expected it to be that small. It's interesting you talked about the shoe being now less than a pound and all that. Yeah. You're not old enough to remember this, but have you ever seen the videos of the old barefoot kickers in the NFL?
Oh, yeah.
Have you kicked barefoot?
I have. It hurt.
It hurt. So you would find no advantage whatsoever to that?
No, I'd find pain.
And that's not fun for anybody.
No.
Your relationship with Tommy Doman, this is your new holder this year.
Yeah.
How is that as compared to the Aussie Jeremy Crawshaw last year?
Yeah, they're two completely different personalities. Jeremy is, he's kind of a go-with-the-flow guy. He kind of like is a feel guy. Tommy's locked in, straightforward, just completely two different guys, but they have the same motive. They just want to perform and get better. And, when we all succeed and Rocco snaps the ball, Tommy holds it, I'm kicking, Tommy's punting, we're all celebrating for each other.
Mm-hmm.
It's such a great group. And Tommy does bring some leadership and experience, because he did win a national championship with Michigan. So he knows how stuff is supposed to be done, and he has helped me out with that too.
Okay. Two last questions real quick. We're running out of time. First thing is this. You talked about kicking in particular buildings.
Yeah.
In the swamp, what are the landmarks that you look for in that building? You've told me about landmarks before, and they're different in every stadium.
Yeah.
In our building, what are the landmarks that you seek out?
Okay, so if I'm doing a PAT going towards our locker room, the big Gator head.
The south end zone? Yep.
Yeah. The big Gator head up at the top of the stadium. That's where I aim at. And then the words in swamp, if I'm on the right hash. And then Florida on the left hash, I think. And then going the other way towards Gator Walk, that will be the Wells Fargo sign.
Good plug.
And that would be another words up top.
Yep.
But also, like, when I'm warming up for in the net for, like, before I'm about to go out and kick a field goal, I'll look at Steve Spurrier's Heisman sign, and I'll aim at the S in Steve Spurrier.
On the sideline into the net.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
These are the landmarks. Are you following now? So this weekend, look for the landmarks when Trey goes onto the field, either the north or the south end zone. I ran out of time. I had one more question to ask you. I'd like the answer to that one more.
Yeah.
I'm wishing you nothing but success. Congratulations. Happy homecoming, and thanks for coming out tonight.
I really appreciate it.
How about a big hand for Trey Smack? One of the best. I mean, literally, I'm sitting next to one of the best kickers in Florida Gators history. Congratulations on that. Good luck this weekend. Yep. Trey Smack here. We'll have another thought and one more giveaway when we come back. Final segment of Gator Talk presented by Dreamfinders Homes. After this on the Gator Sports Network from Learfield.
My best friend Riley loved going to the beach. She was a great swimmer. Then one day, during a swim meet, she collapsed. She had cancer, Hodgkin lymphoma. She spent months getting care at UF Health. The doctors did so much, even put her in a clinical trial. I wish we could go to the beach right now, but she's working.
Out of the water.
She's on lifeguard duty. Maybe we'll head out when her shift is done.
UF Health. Human progress has no finish line.
Hey Gator Nation, this is Vicki Brown-Worski, Director of Gators and Pal Herd. As the Bank of Doing and official sponsor of Florida Athletics, Wells Fargo is supporting our student athletes on and off the field with interactive financial health curriculum and empowerment resources. Wells Fargo has a game plan for the full student athlete experience from their first semester on campus through graduation. Learn more about what Wells Fargo is doing to put people and communities first by visiting wellsfargo.com/impact.
Is that Tacoma towing a pink mechanical bull? Sure seems like it. Well, I'll be.
Truck like you truck with a great deal during Toyota Truck Month. Get $1,000 in Conquest bonus cash for new Toyota customers on a new 2025 Toyota Tacoma. Valid through November 3rd, 2025. Offer entitles $1,000 Conquest bonus cash on certain new 2025 and 2026 Toyota pickup trucks for current non-Toyota owners of small, midsize, and large pickup trucks. Exclusions apply. See dealer for details. Toyota. Let's go places.
This is Gator Talk, presented by Dreamfinders Homes on the Gator Sports Network from Learfield.
Hey, Joe, what are you and Mary doing for the Gators game? Want to come by my place and watch it?
No offense, Mick, but your place is more humid than Ben Hill Griffin Stadium, and that place is nicknamed The Swamp. Why don't you guys come over to our place instead? We'll have some snacks, hamburgers, hot dogs, cold drinks, and cold air.
That sounds good, Joe. I don't know who to call about the AC. There are so many companies out there. How do you know who to call?
That's easy, Mick. Call the company we always call. Charles Berg Enterprises.
When your home comfort is on the line, trust the name Gainesville has counted on since 1967. Charles Berg Enterprises. Charles Berg Enterprises is still family owned and still guided by the values Charles Berg believed in. Integrity, reliability, and exceptional customer care. And they use the best equipment on the market. Train. It's hard to stop a train. So if you don't want your home feeling like the swamp and you don't want to get swamped with high electric bills, call Charles Berg Enterprises today and experience comfort you can count on. Visit CharlesBergEnterprises.com or call now to schedule your next service.
Charles Berg.
Charles Berg.
Charles Berg.
This is former Gator quarterback Shane Matthews, and you're listening to the home of Gator football, WRUF 98.1 FM, 850 AM, and 103.7 HD2.
It's Thursday night, and you're tuned in to Gator Talk, presented by Dreamfinders Homes. Once again, here's Sean Kelly.
Gators fans, heat up the swamp with a homecoming sweepstakes presented by Comfort Temp. You need to enter now at floridagators.com/chill for your chance to win 2 tickets to this weekend's game. It is sold out. 2 pregame hospitality passes, your name on the radio broadcast, and a $250 UF bookstore gift card. Don't miss out. floridagators.com/chill. The simple modern cup that we're giving away tonight is from the last home game. Steve Egan, in his 30th year as our engineer, has presented me with the tickets. Our last winner tonight, 4923. 4923. And speaking of simple modern, back again this weekend, the limited edition cup has the throwback helmet that the Gators will wear, the interlocking UF logo on Saturday. More information at floridagators.com/stadium cup. You can only get it at the ballpark this weekend. I want to thank Trey Smack, Billy Napier, our great audience here tonight, Steve Egan, of course. I'm Sean Kelly. Happy homecoming, everybody. So long for just a while on the Gator Sports Network from Learfield.
You've been listening to Gator Talk, presented by Dreamfinders Homes, building throughout Florida, official home builder of the Gators. Tonight's show has also been brought to you by UF Health. At UF Health, we believe human progress has no finish line. Visit humanprogress.ufhealth.org to learn more. Meldon Law, official injury and accident law firm sponsor of the Florida Gators. We won't back down. Hellman's Real Mayonnaise. Do dip with Hellman's and do no wrong. And by Wells Fargo, official retail bank of the Florida Gators. The preceding has been a Learfield presentation of the Gator Sports Network.
Spurrier's Gridiron Grill is a special type of place for Gator fans and fans of great food, which is why we made every day special. Join us on Martini Tuesdays for half off our handcrafted martinis and wine Wednesdays, where you can enjoy a bottle of wine for 50% off. On Old Fashioned Thursdays, indulge in our selection of 8 classic old-fashioned cocktails. And of course, don't forget Sunday brunch. And now you can look special in some of our great merchandise, available at the restaurant or online at Spurriers.com. Spurrier's Gridiron Grill, the hottest restaurant in Florida in the heart of Gator Nation.
Ever feel invisible crossing the street? You might be. Florida saw over 12,000 pedestrian-related crashes last year, nearly 20% more than the year before. Stay seen and stay safe. Wear bright or reflective gear, especially at night. Walk facing traffic if there's no sidewalk, and always
your home for Gators football. WRUF Gainesville, W251CG Gainesville, WRUF FM HD2, and on the WRUF radio.
Your home for Thursday night football.
Your home for the NFL. WRUF Gainesville, W251CG Gainesville, WRUF FM HD2, and on the WRUF radio app.
Thursday night football is on Westwood 1.
Handoff fake. Back foot throw. Long launch. Wide open. End zone. Touchdown.
Tonight, it's the Pittsburgh Steelers.
We love going into hostile environments. We love divisional play. We certainly love and respect and appreciate being a component of primetime football and being able to put our talents on display for the football world. To appreciate that and respect that is one thing. To be prepared for it and to bring it to fruition is another.
And the Cincinnati Bengals.
We're coming off the stretch we've come off of. We want to win. We're hungry for it. Our guys have worked for it. You got a home divisional game. Division is where it is right now. You know, where as it stands, the top 2 teams at the top, and you get a chance to knock them down a peg and put yourself up one. So our guys understand what's at stake, and it's big for us, and we'll treat it as such. And you got to have a great performance by everybody.
Let's head to the stadium and join John Sadak and Ross Tucker.
Boer Stadium, Cincinnati, Ohio, a Week 7 showdown. AFC North rivals, the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Cincinnati Bengals. I'm John Sadak, joined by NFL veteran Ross Tucker. Scott Graham will join us from our Westwood One studios at halftime. It's been branded in many ways, all in good fun. The Battle of the Unks, the Icy Hot Bowl, 2 40-somethings starting at quarterback on a national stage here tonight.
It's pretty incredible, isn't it? And it's wild to think that it's only happened 3 times before, and it was all Drew Brees and Tom Brady in the exact same year. Just off the top of my head, it feels like it's happened more often, but I guess it hasn't, and it's happening tonight because the Browns traded Joe Flacco here to Cincinnati, and Flacco did exactly what the Bengals were hoping in the last game against the Packers. He gave them a chance to win. That's the best the Bengals offense has looked all year, the way they played in the second half against Green Bay.
Aaron Rodgers has had similar success with the Steelers. These are 2 former Super Bowl MVPs. They have combined for over 110,000 passing yards. That's over 60 miles of spirals. And because of Rodgers in part and other additions, Pittsburgh appears to be the power in the division again.
It's been really impressive to see how well they have started this season. And it's starting to be on both sides of the ball. You know, it's not like they were lighting it up the first couple games. They were finding ways to win. But the defense has really come on these last couple games. They're second in the NFL with 20 sacks. They're getting it from all kinds of guys, not just T.J. Watt. They've got guys like Jalen